Hi everyone, here we are. It is another week. You know what we're going to talk about. And because you do, the shutdown deal, obviously I have some thoughts on that. We're not going to start with it. And instead, we're going to start with Marjorie Taylor Greene at a Megyn Kelly event. And as we've been covering a lot with Marjorie, she's been breaking with MAGA more frequently and criticizing the lack of a healthcare plan and saying that Mike Johnson is not governing well. And so this actually caused her to get heckled by a pro-Trump audience. And then she has to turn around and explain some things to them. It's all strange. And then Trump is now finally addressing Marjorie's criticisms of him and the Republican Party. Obviously, he's not happy. So let's start there. And then later in the show, we'll dive all into the shutdown stuff. Here's Marge.
And I feel like our majority is being ruined. I really do.
By what exactly?
Inaction. I voted to fund the government on September 18th. And then guess what? We haven't been to work since.
But whose fault is that?
Mike Johnson's.
Why?
He's told us not to come back. He's keeping the House out of session. All the American people are working every single day.
Chuck Schumer. You don't think it's related to the shutdown?
Chuck Schumer's in the Senate, everybody. Yeah. Mike Johnson is in the House. He's the Speaker of the House. And he can bring us into a session where we can be passing our bills. We can have our committees at work.
So that was the part there that they didn't like. They want Chuck Schumer to be blamed. You're in a bad spot where Marjorie Taylor Greene is explaining basic government functioning. She's proven herself to be pretty clueless on most things. And so for her having to explain to these Trump supporters, it's not Chuck Schumer's fault that Mike Johnson wasn't calling the House into session, because it is true. Y'all know where Marjorie stands on this show, a bad place. But she is correct that the shutdown didn't prevent Mike Johnson from still doing stuff. Congress can still do stuff. They're still being paid. And what she would want Congress to do, now that's a whole different question. And maybe this advocacy would lead to a really bad place, probably. But one of the areas that we'll hear from after we look at Trump's response, is healthcare. But first, let's look at how he's been responding to Marjorie kind of breaking with her usual gross loyalty to him. While you watch this, please do click the subscribe button. If you appreciate these videos, I'd appreciate you for helping us get the word out about it by clicking the subscribe button.
I passed a great, big, beautiful bill, which is the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country. So when somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's now catering to the other side, I don't know what, I guess she's, got some kind of an act.
You can have her.
But I'm surprised at her. But when somebody like Marjorie goes over and starts making statements like that, it shows she doesn't know.
Now, what's interesting is, for her own cynical reasons, she's seeing a political opening in putting a little bit of a divide between her and the Republican establishment, and honestly a little bit her and Trump, only because she's upset he wouldn't support her running for Senate. And I think she sees a little bit of the writing on the wall as to the future of American politics will not look super kindly on what Republicans are up to right now. So it's cynical, but when she acts like she's just realizing that they're not exactly the party of the working class, you have to remember she voted for that bill he just referenced, the One Big Beautiful Bill, which is an atrocity for the working class. And when he talks about tax cuts, we've seen who that really benefits, and it ain't the working class. And she voted for it. Then he also said this.
During the president earlier today, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a big ally of yours, said that she would rather see you focused on nonstop domestic policy meetings here at the White House instead of nonstop foreign policy meetings. What's your response to her saying that, and also saying that grocery prices are up and not down, as you've said?
Yeah, so I don't know what happened to Marjorie. She's a nice woman, but I don't know what happened. She's lost her way, I think. But I have to view the presidency as a worldwide situation, not locally. I mean, we could have a world that's on fire where wars come to our shores very easily if you had a bad president. We had a horrible...
It is interesting because a lot of people are hyping up Marjorie Greene. Wow, she's seeing reason. Something about the way that question was asked, though, makes me remember how absurd it even is, even though I will credit people to try to elevate their criticisms of Trump, of course, but it's a little absurd, as if we're going, Marjorie, yay, the grass is green, yay, when she says grocery prices are up. Like that's not really a debated issue. You can just look at the data on it. But then it's this big headline-causing event when Marjorie Greene says the equivalent of the grass is green. Then moving forward at the same press conference, you have Trump saying that amid the shutdown battle, again, that we'll discuss how it's concluding here in a little bit, that has centered around healthcare, Democrats trying to get concessions on healthcare as Trump has ravaged our healthcare system. And this is just, if you're eating, put it down for a second because it is nauseating. This is the moment, since apparently we just live in a sickening cycle where Trump tells us that they have a better plan that they're going to tell us about eventually for healthcare.
I hope that we're going to be able to have a health care where Lindsay and I were discussing it, Jim and I were discussing it, and Katie, we discussed it. We want a health care system where we pay the money to the people instead of the insurance companies. And I tell you, we're going to be working on that very hard over the next short period of time, where the people get the money. We're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars where the people get the money. Yes, please.
Just meaningless words. Meaningless words. And it would be a little bit more notable if the U.S. president was saying that, if it didn't come on the heels of him saying it for a decade. And then Mike Johnson says, yeah, Trump, that's where the 2 weeks thing came from, was originally healthcare plan in 2 weeks, healthcare plan in 2 weeks.
I have concepts of a plan.
I know that you know. Now, Mike Johnson says it a little bit of a different way. They have, I think he worded it, notebooks and notebooks of plans.
Subsidizing the insurance companies is not the answer because it just drives the cost up even further. So we need to look at the root causes. The Republican Party is the party that is working on that, has been working on it, and has more ideas going forward. We got to bring down the costs. And you can do that in a responsible way that also increases access and quality of care. And we got notebooks full of ideas on how to do that. We got to build consensus around it.
Last one. I know you're busy.
Jaden was zooming in on Larry. Oh, Larry, he's riveted. He's absolutely riveted. I saw him doing a segment like, why are all these poor people acting like the economy isn't good? It's great. I love it. It's awesome. Woo! Most hyped I'd seen him in a while. Yeah, I'm also working on notebooks of healthcare plans for myself where I eat any amount of pizza and any amount of cheeseburgers and Pizookies from BJ's, the restaurant. And then I also don't do anything to work out. And I'm going to soon divulge to you a secret plan where still you stay very fit. That's what I'm working on. And I think my plan is actually more realistic than their plan. And it's not realistic. Because theirs is unreal. I think you get it. Did that make sense? Did that make sense? That's what I'm working on in my notebooks. It's like I ran a week ago. Oh, you should do it again. I haven't had pizza since like a day ago. Oh, but you shouldn't again. It's just sick stuff, this world we're in. Oh, evolution. Apparently we're so good at evolving, but we've evolved to like in our mouths the things that are bad for us. And I don't mean that, I mean with food. Because nothing's wrong about the other one.
Interesting.
Hey, Gavin, you know what I'm trying to say. Now, Hakeem Jeffries was hearing about the scuttlebutt that Republicans are working on something, and maybe Dr. Oz is coming up with a plan. And Hakeem did not want to hear from Dr. Oz, understandably.
We're open to sitting down and having a bipartisan conversation about how to fix our broken healthcare system overall. But I'm not going to respond to any comments from randos like Dr. Oz, who is woefully unqualified to be in whatever position he holds in the administration. He's a joke. These people are jokes. But the issue of the health care of the American people is very serious. And that's what we'll continue to focus on.
You know, in this line of work, you get called a lot of things, and we've heard it all here. What's the one that the guy, soy boy, something, hubba, tubba, tubba.
Soy boy beta cuck, Luke Beasley.
That fits in so many descriptors into one title. Soy boy beta cuck. But I've been called stupid. I've been called a traitor. I've been called all of it. And none of those insults would ruin me mentally as much as someone calling me a rando, like Hakeem Jeffries just did. There's something that hits so brutally about going, I'm not going to listen to the likes of rando Dr. Oz. Oh, not even worth the time to come up with an insult.
So Dr. Oz said that millions...
Who?
Dr. Oz. That there are millions of phantom enrollees under the ACA. Is that being looked at as it possibly makes it so that people that are on the ACA are paying more, is inflating the numbers?
That's like the most random way to start a question on a serious topic. Nobody who's serious in this country takes Dr. Oz seriously. No one. And I mean, it's shocking that the guy even was confirmed.
Yeah. So that's as he's saying, it's very unserious what they've been acting like, which is the reason they won't concede to Democrats' demands on healthcare is because they have a better plan, which is a joke. The issue of healthcare is very serious. Their handling is a big joke. And I think it's reasonable to lose a lot of trust in the plans to solve price issues, whether it be healthcare or housing, with their track record, and their latest is 50-year mortgages. Trump's 50-year mortgage idea, says David Pakman, is terrible. It blows up the amount of total interest paid and will drive prices up by making houses appear more affordable by lowering monthly payments without creating more supply. Disaster. That's the most Trumpian. Well, just let them put it on a 50-year, these losers. Now, another reason that I don't think we should trust Trump's healthcare proposals is that he doesn't understand much very well or at all. Like, listen to him talking about rare earth during the same press conference.
Example, China was going to hit us with rare earth. Now, everybody says, what does that
They're going to hit us right over the head with rare earth.
mean? Magnets. If China refused to give magnets because they have a monopoly on magnets because they were allowed to happen over a 32-year period, there wouldn't be a car made in the entire world. There wouldn't be a radio. There wouldn't be a television. There wouldn't be internet. There wouldn't be anything because magnets are such a part. Now, nobody knows what magnets are, and not overly.
President of the United States, quote unquote, no one knows what magnets are. They tried to explain it. I said, Magnum. Why are they hitting us with magnums? No, Mr. President, magnets. What's a magnet? Okay. Then, as likely as we will see this healthcare plan, we will see the plan for $2,000 tariff dividends that he's been advertising.
We're going to be bringing them down. Without tariffs, this country would be in such trouble, as they were for many years. That's why we owe $38 trillion.
We owe because we won't tariff.
And one of the things we're going to do, we're going to issue a dividend to our middle-income people and lower-income people of about $2,000. And we're going to use the remaining tariffs to lower our debt. We're going to be lowering our debt, which is a national security thing. So we're doing a lot of good work.
So just remember, if you're getting excited for Trump to send you a $2,000 tariff dividend, first of all, it's an admission that indeed we're the ones suffering from the tariffs, because he's thinking, oh, I'm putting a lot of financial pressure on them. Maybe I need to bail out people because of the financial pressure I put on with the extra taxes with the tariffs. But also, we referenced this yesterday, so it won't be a surprise I'm bringing it up, but it's really been sitting with me for the last 24 hours. We were promised Doge checks. Elon was going around. Trump was talking about, Fox News was running stories about how they're saving so much money with Doge, even though they ended up causing a calamity, but not actually addressing our debt problem at all. And that we were saving so much money that we were going to get Doge dividend checks. So I think that's and did you get them? I think that sums up how trustworthy that promise is. Then you have Trump attacking. He does this a lot when there's chaos in his transportation department. Who's president right now? Who's been president for a while? Him. And we've seen all this chaos at the airports. Pilots, I just saw a video of a pilot getting on and being like, guys, call your senators. This is bad. And while that's happening, he always finds a way to make it about Pete Buttigieg. Or, as he says, Pete Boot Edge Edge. Like the edge of a cliff.
Control towers. And we didn't have that. We had a guy named Buttigieg. Boot edge, edge, they say is the best way. Just say two edges, like off the edge of a cliff, which is where they were taking us, by the way. Boot edge, edge was the Secretary of Transportation.
What on earth does this have to do with Pete Buttigieg? Now, speaking of Pete Buttigieg, you remember we covered a little while ago him going on is it All In podcast with those MAGA millionaires, maybe is the description, businessmen, I should say. And he was having this back and forth with one of the hosts saying, no, Trump's OBBB, his big landmark agenda item, is taking from the poor to give to the rich. And it ended up, and this is just so fascinating to me if I can find this, in the comments there were some, I guess probably right of center people going, wait, I looked up on Grok what Pete Buttigieg was saying. I never heard this before, which is the importance of going in those spaces. Someone said, I asked Grok if there was any proof of the OBBBA. OBA gave tax cuts to the rich. Surprisingly, it said it did. It disproportionately gave more benefits to the rich. Now, I'm no expert, and I may have misrepresented, but y'all can ask it. I watched Elon and the All In guys talk about Grok telling the truth, which is why I asked it instead of ChatGPT or Gemini. Anyway, I'm not savvy or math genius, but I was kind of surprised since Chamath asked Pete a similar question. So you're having people, I found that so fascinating. You're having people, after it feels like I am getting too redundant when I say that. On Jubilee, they were also shocked when I said, that bill is like reverse Robin Hood. And they would go, what? This is ridiculous. Credit to that person just asking some search engine or chatbot. And then there's millions of people out there who aren't going to go fact check it, will assume Pete Buttigieg is lying, and are waiting for their tariff check. It's sad. It's a sad state of affairs. You also have Pete Buttigieg responding to this post by Trump where he just starts attacking air traffic controllers. All air traffic controllers must get back to work now. Anyone who doesn't will be substantially docked. For those air traffic controllers who were great patriots and didn't take any time off for the Democrat shutdown hoax, I'll be recommending a bonus of $10,000 per person for distinguished service to our country. That will never come. For those that did nothing but complain and took time off, even though everyone knew they would be paid in full shortly into the future, I am not happy with you. You didn't step up to help the USA against the fake Democrat attack that was only meant, etc. So he's raging at air traffic controllers or airport staff for, in some cases, calling in sick. In some cases, you heard stories of people having to go get other jobs because the shutdown was dragging on so long and they can't just operate for that many days with no check coming in. And then Trump's going, you failed. And I'm mad at you, to which Buttigieg responded, boot edge edge. The president wouldn't last 5 minutes as an air traffic controller. And after everything they've been through and the way this administration has treated them from day one, he has no business shitting on them now. Pete, I could air traffic control right through here. Delta Flight 52. Don't crash. I'm sure it would be Trump's response. Then you have this.
These deals. But so when somebody makes a statement about he's devoting time to the world, well, the world is the United States, because if the world's in trouble or if the world is ripping us off.
And the world a bigger place too. I don't know why I included that clip. Now, interesting miscellaneous item. The Supreme Court on Monday rejected Associated Press reporting a call to overturn its landmark decision that legalized same-sex marriage nationwide. There was some fear, we've sounded the alarm about it, that after Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court could overturn Obergefell, and they rejected hearing that case, which is good news. turned away an appeal from Kim Davis. Now, this sent me this morning into a whole rabbit hole about Kim Davis, who was the former Kentucky County court clerk, who has been fighting this battle for a very long time. Go live your life, Kim. Go live your life. And it brought me to this interview from like a decade ago. That's how long this is. She's really, really trying to get it overturned. Why? Go live your life.
I'm going to begin with that ABC News exclusive. Kim Davis, the Kentucky clerk who refuses to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples, saying that would violate her Christian beliefs. She spent 6 days in jail for contempt of court, and the ACLU now claims she's interfering with marriages again. This morning, her first interview with our Paula Ferris. Good morning, Paula.
Morning, George. And I spent several hours with her at her Kentucky property. Kim Davis says her religious liberty and her conscience, they go hand in hand. And in her eyes, those licenses being issued right now without her name.
In the arms of an angel. Could you zoom in on this photo? Angel, fly away. Why do the gays want to marry? It hurts me somehow. I dream of a day where they'll stop touching each other, 'cause it makes me feel weird. And now I'm changing the melody. Okay, let's keep going.
Name on them are not valid. She tells me that if it comes down to it, she is prepared to go back to jail.
I have never once spouted a word of hate. I've not been hateful. I've had people yelling and screaming and cussing me.
Kim Davis says she never expected to become a household name when she started denying marriage licenses at her county clerk office.
I'm just a normal person that has been touched by the grace of God and His mercy.
That pause. Kim, that pause was really misleading.
Has been touched by the grace of God and His mercy. And, I haven't always been a good person, Paula. When I didn't live for God, I didn't live for Him. And I was real good at living for the devil.
You've been married 4 times. You had children in an adulterous relationship. People are calling you a hypocrite. Are you?
No. I'm forgiven. Washed clean.
And so 4.5 years ago.
Wow, that's a big cross. So here's the deal. You don't need to be crying. We don't need to be crying. Just, you have a property. That's awesome. Live it up. Doesn't impact you. And anyway, it does. She had to go to prison for a few days because she was violating the law. Because you're a clerk. So your job is to follow the law because you're a county clerk. So you do the law stuff, right? It's weird when they say that. It's violating my religious freedom. No, it's not. You don't have to work that job. You're not being forced in your church. You don't have to have same-sex marriages in your church. So have your religious freedom over there. You're working in the government, and the government has laws that they're following. And so when our laws change such that same-sex marriages are valid, and side note, beautiful. But separate from that, again, I'm trying to make it more just strip away the emotion from it and just the logic of it, then you need to follow the position that you're in, which requires you to follow the law. And then you don't have to be in that job if you don't want to. And you can do whatever you want in your church. Gosh, Kim, you don't have to be crying.
I'm forgiven. Washed clean.
And so 4.5 years ago, when Davis found God, she says she could not separate church from state, believing that America...
Well, then don't work in the state. In the state government, that's where the state goes, right? Right? You could just do your job there and then go to the church and say, I had to marry some gays. Oh, so bizarre, Kim. Oh, how long has this been? It's just so unnecessary. Meanwhile, Trump is pardoning the fake electors, of course, but A lot of those were state cases, so that doesn't save them from those. But he's trying to intervene whatever way he can to say, if you break the law, you try to defraud voters and pretend like you're an elector when you're not to get me elected, even when I lost in 2020, then it's okay. And you shouldn't be punished for it because it was in service of me. To which a MAGA account, Monica, says the truth about the 2020 election is coming. Buckle up. So I think this all connects because I'm saying we will soon learn the healthcare plan. We'll soon get the $2,000 tariff dividends, and we'll soon find out about the 2020 election being stolen. I love when these accounts who for years have been saying they already have the proof then go, it's coming, but you said you've been saying it, you already have the proof, it's still coming, then come already, you know? Meanwhile, Maria Bartiromo, you know, Cole, you feel me? I was touched. I was touched by the grace of God. Maria Bartiromo is hyped about this. I forget, you remember those leaked Fox News emails? And she, either by her producers or by other hosts or something, they were texting about Maria's crazy. Even for us, Maria's crazy. So she's happy about this news.
Welcome back. We've got this breaking news this morning. President Trump pardoning a list of high-profile officials who were part of the efforts to challenge the 2020 election. It includes Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, and Sidney Powell. Pardon attorney Ed Martin saying each official will receive a, quote, complete and unconditional pardon. The president signed these pardons on Friday. Liz Peek, your reaction.
You know, Maria, I think this comes to a question about free speech. I think these people like Rudy Giuliani who challenged the election were wrong, but it seems to me if you are not allowed to raise questions about the validity of an election in your country, that's wrong. And I think the prosecution and persecution, I would even say, of Rudy Giuliani and some of these others was wrong, and I'm happy to see that Trump has issued these pardons.
Yeah, well, we don't know if they were wrong, by the way, with all those mail-in ballots.
I know,
but
I agree.
There is more investigation to be done here, and I suspect
Really? More investigation? You've been investigating for like 4 years. More? Maria, you're the worst journalist on the planet if you still haven't investigated to conclusion the 2020 election. Oh, it's so embarrassing. One second. Did this Liz Peek person try to say this is a matter of free speech? Oh, it's like the other person. You're just throwing around like, this is not about religious freedom. What are you talking about? In this case, it's not about free speech. Does Liz Peek, a Fox News contributor, like has a job, probably does her taxes, maybe has kids, I don't know, like responsibilities. And that scares me. Does she really believe they were indicted for questioning the election results? Or trying to defraud voters with documented crimes, signing their names to official forms, claiming themselves to be something they weren't, like a lawfully, dutifully elected elector? Is it my free speech to scam someone out of a bunch of money just because I used my words to do it? It's not about what they were saying publicly. It's the scheme to falsely present themselves as the elected electors. My goodness. Then, speaking of pardons, this guy that Trump pardoned, Jonathan Braun, at the end of his first presidency and of course it was because someone had lobbied effectively to the Trump family. He's a disaster. Look at this. In the final hours of President Trump's first term, this keeps happening. We keep getting stories of people Trump pardons, whether it be January 6ers or this Braun guy, and then they go on to do horrible things. That's on Trump. In the final hours of Trump's first term, a violent felon used his family ties to Mr. Trump's son-in-law to receive the deal of a lifetime. Trump commuted the man's 10-year prison sentence. All he had to do to ensure he remained free was stay out of trouble. He failed. According to prosecutors, the man, Jonathan Braun, later sexually assaulted a nanny, swung an IV pole at a nurse, threatened a congregant at his synagogue, and made usurious loans to struggling small businesses. That was his free speech. So terrible, horrible stuff. I hope a reporter asks Trump about that. My goodness.